Yo, what is going on, money team? It's your boy Jdun, Trades with Team Bull Trading, and hope you're all having a blessed Sunday. We are live and back in action with yet another Sunday watch list, where I'm going to break down the exact levels, setups, stocks, and everything that you need to know going into this upcoming trading week. So that being said, if you guys do get value from this video, appreciate you tapping in, liking, subscribing, and coming back, because I got a lot of good stuff planned for you guys in the coming weeks and months. So let's start this out by going over our data for the week. You always want to be aware of data. Now we see here, Monday, not a whole lot. A few things at 8:30, a few things at 10. Tuesday, some housing data, industrial production, capacity utilization, not a whole lot. But Wednesday, we have FOMC with our interest rate decision. And then Jay Powell, the money printer man himself, coming on to speak at 2:30. So this will be the big day of data for us, that FOMC event. Thursday, initial jobless claims in the morning, not a lot. And then Friday, no data. So you always want to make sure you know when data is. Shout out Team Bull. Always having bigger green days than red days for our traders. As you see, a majority are almost always green. That's what we do in Team Bull. You can join the free Discord down below. Now, let's talk about our levels for the week and what you need to watch. So let's start here on the SPY weekly chart. We notice here that we have, yes, 4 red aggressive selling candles. What do we notice here about this final candle right here, the last week versus 2 weeks ago? We have higher volume, but a majority of this red candle is an aggressive wick up. So that tells me we may see some relief come this week. I'm not 100% sold, but I do think there's a high probability that if we can get some momentum, we go up and test this previous demand, as you guys can clearly see here. Pretest this previous demand turned supply. So I would like to see us come up, test up to this like 580 area, 575 to 580 on SPY or ES for you futures traders, right? And then first glance would be test up here, lower high, reject down for further movement down. However, if we can come up here, get a weekly close in here, get some strong green buying volume, maybe we start our ascent back up. However, the trend has been down for the last month. I'm going to look for lower highs first for a reject in this 575 area, which I think we can push up to. Previous demand, you can clearly see that with these 2 weekly candles. Demand touched here, bounced, aggressive move down, retest back up, move further. Now let's see how that looks on the daily perspective as well. Same deal, right? Had this gap here, filled it back down, bounced almost to a T in our weekly demand, move back up, move down, failure to bounce here, aggressive move down before retesting. So this retest here, again, is my weekly watch for a reject and further movement down. However, if we don't get that, if we fail to go higher here, if we fail to go higher above this like 565 area, and we just move on down, or if we reject early, my next bounce area below this 550 isn't until around this 538-ish area. We have a few touches down here, a little support down here. Not much demand that I'm seeing, but a little support per se. And below that, we have a lot of room down as far as the daily goes. And from a weekly perspective, let's go over and check this out as well. From a weekly perspective, we have a good amount of room to the downside as well. So this is kind of our last hurrah for a swing low right here before moving back up. Otherwise, we got room to the downside. Now, let's flip that around for all of my NQ and QQQ traders. Same deal, right? We had this demand made in here, solid weekly bounce off our demand, previous swing high bounce as well, aggressive move down, got this gap to fill up here in the previous demand turn supply. If we don't hit that, right, if we can't come up and reject this like 500 area, 500 to like 495, then our next area of interest to the downside is like 450. So that would be below this 466. That's a long ways down. I think it's very possible I'd like to see a little relief to the upside, same volume scenario as we're seeing with SPY, and then a reject in this zone for further movement down. So that's my main watches for QQQ and SPY this week from our large time frame perspectives. If we look at the hourly chart, let's see if we're seeing anything else. Sometimes pre-market I'll find some really nice hourly demands, hourly 4-hour demands. If I find those, they're always traded alive inside Team Bull. My levels are always put inside Team Bull. But right now, off the rip, I'm not seeing a whole lot that I love in the near future as far as supply and demand goes. We have a little bit up here that we've already tested once at 490. Besides that, I think we're just going to have to wait for a day or two, let price play out, let some of our new zones develop, and then go from there. So as far as individual names go, let's go talk about Tesla. Let's talk about our Tezzy baby. Tezzy baby. And as a reminder, make sure you just tap and hit that subscribe button. We choose discipline over dopamine every single day inside Team Bull and with our traders. That's what we build. So let's go to our weekly chart first. This looks like a hot mess in here. Let's get this readable. Now, we see here, we had this aggressive weekly demand made. We tested it, small bounce, flushed through. If we can reclaim this demand, right, all the way up into this like 300-ish, or a ways away, we're at 250 right now. So if we can come up and reclaim this 272 area and push up, I think we could see upside. This is looking like a very, very good swing low. We have an aggressive push up even with high red volume, right? So, I think that an interim bottom may be in on Tesla. If so, we can look for some calls to the upside. However, if we flush this 220, for one, I'll be adding more long term, just putting that out there. I buy Tesla on dips. I'm a believer long term. But besides that, for us traders, if we flush this 217, 220 area, our next leg down is all the way down near, goodness, you can say 180 to 200 from a weekly perspective. Let's see if daily tells us anything different. Daily, same thing, like 180 to 200 area. So we're kind of on our last line of defense for that support bounce. I still think we look good for more upside up to the 260s and 270s. I think we could see some relief here, especially if the market just doesn't die for Tesla. And it's something I'm definitely going to be looking to day trade actively this week and to hopefully, make some thousands of dollars on. That's the goal, right? So that's my game plan on Tesla. Weekly looks like it's strong. Let's go to the hourly click. Let's go check that out. Our hourly chart, how we looking on there. I'll typically look for hourly and 4-hour demands pre-market every day. Not a ton that I'm seeing. Not a ton that I'm seeing as far as anything near. No, I think we're going to have to base our levels off of our daily and our weekly for this, for at least Monday and Tuesday. So that's it for Tesla. And then let's go check out NVIDIA as well. And let me know in the comments below. For you that are still here, first of all, thank you. Second, if you guys want me to start live streaming this, you guys can ask questions, get answers in real time, ask about specific tickers. Let me know too in the comments, and maybe we'll bring that to you sooner than later. So as far as NVIDIA goes, let's go first, of course, to our weekly chart. Aggressive move up, hit nicely off. We couldn't get that 100. I wanted that 100 to add more at 100 or below. Didn't get there. Move back up to like 122. Not seeing a lot as far as supply and demand goes. Yeah, not a whole lot there. Let's check out the daily. Let's check out the daily and see if we got anything cooking over here. A little bit. We have some supply at like 125 to like 130. So we can watch for a reject. I'll watch this. 125 to 29, 130. I will watch for a reject in here. We'll see how price reacts on the lower time frames once we move into this level. But I'm not in love with it. So, if we can break right here, if we can move on up to here, okay, get that rejection down, we can look for shorts. However, right, if we see that, maybe look for a lower high. However, if we break above this again and switch the trend, then we're going to look for the higher low entry in here that supply turn demand and then move on up. So that will be my game plan. That's how I trade, guys, is I use some things like fair value gaps, areas of confluence, impulse candles and such, but the main pillars of my strategy come from volume price analysis, reading price action, and keeping it as simple as I possibly can. Now, obviously, trading can be very complex, and I have some complex strategies, but my mission as a trader and as a teacher is to simplify them for you to the best of my ability. So with that said, another big week ahead of us. Make sure you tap in, join that free Discord below. Love helping you guys learn. And until next time, keep trading smart, keep trading safe, and remember, choose discipline over dopamine. Until next time.